Tonight, a student stabbed outside a Manitoba high school. What RCMP are saying about the incident in Portage La Prairie and what we know about the two young suspects. Also tonight, heading out to pasture.
It's going to take time to build that industry back up to get that supply where it needs to be.
A look at the state of the cattle industry as Canadian herds shrink to record lows. Plus, the province eyes a new location in Winnipeg for a supervised consumption site.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A school liaison officer is being credited tonight for his quick actions after a student was stabbed. It happened outside a Portage La Prairie school yesterday, just after class let out for the day. CTV's Harrison Shin visited that high school today and joins us now live with what happened. Harrison, what can you tell us?
Marilee, the incident sent ripples throughout the city Thursday afternoon as officials took precautions right away. All Portage La Prairie schools were placed into hold and secure mode Thursday afternoon after a 15-year-old boy was stabbed after school in the parking lot of Portage Collegiate Institute. RCMP say 2 other teens were involved, one a fellow student.
We want to assure all of our families and staff the safety of our schools remains a top priority. And we'll work with our school community to provide the resources and supports that's needed at this time.
RCMP told CTV News the injured teen is recovering.
He's in stable condition. So the school was put on a hold and secure just for the safety of everybody.
According to the RCMP, the incident unfolded Thursday at around 4 p.m. Police dog teams were deployed and found the suspects 40 minutes later in a residence. Both 14-year-olds were charged with assault, weapons-related charges, and resisting a peace officer. One of them is also facing a charge of failing to comply with a release order. Superintendent Garnham credits the school's liaison officer with resolving the incident quickly.
The liaison officer was on site within minutes. It was instrumental in providing the division with direct and specific updates throughout the incident.
The program has been in place for over 15 years with an office on site at the school. She said being able to reach the officer directly is key to the program's success.
We call 911 first if it's an emergency, but when I'm able to directly call him and he's able to correspond with me, like throughout this whole incident, I was able to get up-to-date information immediately from him.
The division had their crisis response team and counselors at the school Thursday and Friday.
Harrison, what happens to the suspects now?
Marilee, they were both held until this morning for a court appearance. None of the charges have been tested in court, and they cannot be identified due to their age.
All right, thanks for this, Harrison. 2 men are facing charges in connection to a stabbing at a social in Winnipeg 2 months ago. It happened outside Glenwood Community Center around 1 in the morning on October 11th. The victim, a man in his 30s, was taken to hospital in unstable condition. Police say a 29-year-old man was arrested at the beginning of November at a home on Selkirk Avenue. That warrant actually led to the arrests of 4 other people after police allegedly found a loaded sawed-off shotgun inside the home. The second suspect, a 28-year-old man, was arrested last Friday. The province appears to have chosen a new location for its supervised drug consumption site. Those living and working in the new area have been invited to a consultation meeting about the new site at 366 Henry Avenue, just west of Main Street. It's several blocks away from the government's initial site, which was scrapped after local residents raised concerns over the site's proximity to a school and a daycare. The NDP government is promising to have the site up and running in January. The supervised consumption site will not supply drugs, but will allow people to inject drugs with staff on hand to respond to overdoses and guide people towards treatment. With food prices rising across the country, Manitoba beef producers are warning there may be little relief in sight for the cost of your favorite cut. Experts say a shortage of cattle here in the province, coupled with a strong demand for red meat, are factors leading to higher costs. CTV's Joseph Bernacki reports on what's happening in the market.
The cow herd is one of the lowest numbers that it's been in years, and that's putting a big strain on the supply side of the market.
Jonathan Voggs has spent most of his life surrounded by cows at his family farm in Dugald. Operating a feedlot in the community has become a challenge in recent years due to rising costs.
price of a bag of corn has over doubled in the last 5 years. The price of diesel fuel, the price of labor, everything has gone up. I have to pay that, and I need to cover those expenses off the backs of the cattle.
Voggs and his family have nearly 2,000 head of cattle in their herd. He says beef farming in Manitoba has shrunk over the last 5 years. Voggs believes recent drought, rising input costs, and an aging population amongst farmers are contributing to the decline.
Beef farmers in Manitoba, you had lots of guys now that when the price of beef is getting high, they said, well, this is my time to pack it in, and they're taking advantage of that.
Manitoba beef producers say the declining numbers of farmers are not exclusive to the province.
I think it's pretty consistent across the whole country in terms of the decrease in herd size. I think every province is dealing with an issue.
While the demand for beef is shooting up prices for producers, consumers are feeling the pinch. Munther Zeed, owner of the Silver Heights Food Fair, says the price of beef really comes down to the cut. He's found while prices have increased, the margin between cuts has gotten smaller. One thing's for certain, ahead of the holiday season, the demand for red meat is high.
This week alone, I have had numerous, I'm going to say at least 25 to 30 inquiries asking what's our price going to be for prime rib for Christmas.
While the store hasn't set a prime rib price tag yet, Zeed says their prices will be competitive. Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Well, it might be the best gift you can give this Christmas. New and unwrapped toys are being collected at Polo Park Mall tonight and tomorrow for the annual Toy Mountain campaign, which is where we find CTV's Taylor Brook tonight. So, Taylor, how are things going over there?
I am feeling the festive spirit here. As you can see behind me, Santa Center Court. I'm actually on the second floor right now, though, for Toy Mountain. You can find us because it's the giant mountain of toys that's behind me. They're all being collected for Salvation Army to give to kids this holiday season. They're expecting anywhere from 7,000 to 8,000 kids will be looking for toys this year. And at Salvation Army, they get 2. So that means that they need about 14,000 toys. I'm hoping a lot of them can end up here tonight and tomorrow, particularly toys for very young kids, babies to 2 years old, and kids who are preteens. 10 to 12 is what they're in most need of right now, or what they say, fun for the family. So things like board games, puzzles that can be done together. And if you're like me and you go, oh, I don't know what a kid wants, go to the toy aisle, pick things that catch your eye, and actually, when it's time to pick up the toys, parents pick the ones that they think their kids will actually want. Still to come, we will chat with Salvation Army about more of that process and what they're in need of this year and what it really does look like. That's coming up closer to 6:30 merrily. In the meantime, you can come by second floor, just by Center Court here at CF Polo Park for Toy Mountain.
All right, looking forward to chatting with you in a little bit, Taylor. Let's bring in Colleen Brady now. And before we talk about our weekend Skywatch forecast, both of us were down at Toy Mountain earlier today. We'll be there throughout the weekend, or at least tomorrow.
That's right.
And the mountain is small, it's growing, so we definitely need a lot of help. Everyone knows things are tight this year, a lot of families in need, and every kid deserves a present under the tree. So if you can help, please do, and stop and say hi. We love to bump into our viewers. And if you do plan on heading down there, what's the weekend shaping up like, Colleen? Bundle up and get the message, maybe?
Well, yeah, that is the strong message. You might want to be inside the shopping center throughout the weekend because temperatures are about to plummet. And that might be, I don't think that's too strong a word, actually, compared to all the mild weather that we've enjoyed, although as of late, we've already had a couple of shots of cold Arctic air, while another one is headed southern Manitoba's way. We had a weak clipper system that passed through, the third clipper system over the last few days. That system itself was weak, but the Arctic air coming in behind is much stronger than that. So a look at just how cold it's going to get this weekend and when the next clipper system is expected to come through Manitoba. Let's take a look right now, though, first through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, the snow has ended. It's now partly cloudy. It's minus 17 degrees. You can see how cold it is out there. With the wind chill, it feels like minus 24. Winds 11 kilometers an hour from the north-northwest. The pressure's rising and the humidity right now at Merrily is 78%.
Thanks, Colleen. Manitoba RCMP are kicking off their annual holiday check stop program this weekend. So for the rest of the month, you can expect to see more Mounties on the roads and highways. They'll be setting up mandatory drug and alcohol screening. Impaired driving can lead to heavy fines, license suspensions, and criminal charges. But more importantly, it can lead to injuries and even death. RCMP say impaired driving actually led to 21 fatal collisions last year and 43 that resulted in serious injuries, all of which the force notes were entirely preventable. Read your emails very carefully. That is the message tonight from Manitoba Hydro after it learned some of its customers are being targeted with an ongoing scam. The Crown utility says an email mimicking its bill is ready email is being sent to customers. It says you should look very closely before clicking any links. This means ensuring your address and account number are spelled out correctly. Legitimate emails come from notifications at hydro.mb.ca. You can also head online to double check whether or not your bill has even been issued. Cab drivers could be able to recoup money from passengers who ride and then refuse to pay. The city says fare jumping is costing the taxi industry up to $200,000 a year, and the problem is only getting worse. Now, as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, a fund could be available for taxi drivers to draw from if they've been cheated out of a fare.
Harmanpreet Rakra says sometimes he runs into problems.
Some people not like to pay.
The taxi driver says he was recently stiffed on a $52 fare.
But just a $3 he paid me.
The city's manager of vehicles for hire estimates fare evasion is costing cabbies between $150,000 and $200,000 a year.
The problem's only gotten bigger in the last number of years as much, areas like shoplifting and that have become more prominent. We look at this the same way.
So Grant Heather says they're considering a fund to compensate drivers who are getting ripped off. The department is exploring a self-insurance program where a small amount could be collected from each trip for the fund. The cabbies could then make claims for reimbursement.
If a driver was able to recover anything that is stolen from them in a fare evasion case, that means we're returning part of their income to them.
Unicity Taxi is on board with the idea.
If there is evidence of fare jumping, they are going to compensate the drivers. We fully support in this system.
The company says this is not just about money. Like Winnipeg Transit, disputes over fare payments lead to conflicts.
This situation can be escalate into a fight. So if this is their double risk, like one is the income and second is the safety of driver and the customer.
But could funding this plan lead to an increase in fares? Heather says it's too soon to say, as the money could come from a portion of existing surcharges already on the meter.
It's really a case of looking at what the magnitude is, what the cost is going to look like, and what types of percentages we may be able to return to support the drivers.
Jeff Keel, CTV News Winnipeg.
A recent cross-Canada poll on Premier approval rating shows our Premier is still in the top spot. Wab Kinu's approval rating remains the highest in the country, according to December polling data from the Angus Reid Institute. Well, Kinu scored a 58% approval rating. He's actually down 10 points since June. New Brunswick's Premier came in second place with a 56% approval rating, while Quebec's Premier landed in last place with just a quarter of people there approving of his performance. Kinu's approval rating has been the highest among all premiers since he took office, according to the Research Foundation. For $800,000, you could own the former headquarters of Manitoba's Progressive Conservatives. The PC's longtime headquarters at 23 Kennedy Street is now up for sale. For decades, the building, which dates back to 1912 and is located across from the legislative grounds, has served as the party's headquarters. However, the party says it no longer fits its needs and isn't accessible. It adds proceeds from the building owned by an investment corporation will go towards the party. The PCs have moved its headquarters to a rented space on Donald Street. Japanese retail giant Uniqlo is coming to Saint-Vital Centre. The city recently confirmed the new tenant after it issued a permit to merge multiple units in the mall into one large space. This will be the clothing company's first location in Winnipeg, which is expected to fill vacancy left by Hudson Bay Company. There is still no confirmation on when the Uniqlo location will be ready for shoppers. The retailer first opened its doors in Canada in 2016. Still to come tonight, Netflix has triumphed in the bidding war for Warner Brothers and HBO.
I just don't understand how movie theaters who are already kind of stuck for content are gonna be able to withstand this.
How many billions of dollars the deal is valued at, and a look at the fallout just ahead.
We all know just how cold Manitoba winters can be. Imagine not having a winter coat, boots, a toque, or mitts, and stepping out into the cold. That's the reality for many kids. But you can change that. Give the gift of warmth. Donate to Coats for Kids.
Manitoba added about 4,500 jobs last month, the second increase in the past 3 months. That's according to Statistics Canada's latest labour force survey. Despite the gains, our province's unemployment rate ticked up a fraction of a percent to 6.1%, which is slightly below the national average. Turning to the markets now, crude oil is up 41 cents. The Canadian dollar jumped nearly half a cent. Gold is unchanged. The TSX dropped 166 points. The Dow Jones added 104 points, while the Nasdaq gained 73 points. Canada has long committed to procuring 88 U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets. But in light of lingering trade tensions and Sweden pledging up to 10,000 jobs if Canada purchased the jets from them, the government is now reviewing its options, and new numbers from Nano show what matters most to Canadians. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the details.
As the Canadian government contemplates following through on its procurement of Lockheed Martin's F-35s or diversifying the Air Force's fleet by also acquiring Swedish company Saab's Gripen E fighters, a Nano survey about procurement priorities is shedding new light on what Canadians think is most important. 40% said having the fighter jet that is the best solution. 28% said picking the jet that generates the most Canadian jobs. 18% said defense cooperation with Europe was the most important factor. Double the number of Canadians who said cooperation with the U.S. was key. And just 2% of those surveyed said the government should pick the lowest cost option.
What this shows is that if the government decides to change tact, it's actually going to have to explain why.
A recently leaked procurement document revealed the F-35 scored higher than the Gripen across a range of military and technical performance categories.
In your report and recommendations to the Prime Minister in this review, did you let him know that the F-35 beat the Gripen by a mile?
The review continues, and it will continue until it's complete. And I am quite sure that the kinds of metrics you're alluding to and referring to will find their way into the final report.
Experts say while the F-35 may be the better choice to maintain interoperability with the Americans, a diversified fleet compatible with more countries could also be to Canada's advantage. Even as critics suggest Saab's pledge to create 10,000 jobs in Canada is unrealistic.
There is no single best jet. It depends on the missions.
The defense minister hasn't committed to a deadline for when the government will decide what fighter jets will make up the fleet, replacing Canada's aging CF-18s. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, the federal government is serving Stellantis a notice of default after the automaker shifted some of its production from Brampton to the United States. Stellantis announced in October it was moving planned production of its Jeep Compass to Illinois. Melanie Joly told the Standing Committee on International Trade that move breaches federal contracts tied to manufacturing in Brampton and Windsor. She says the contract for federal funds for a Windsor battery plant included a job guarantee in Brampton. Lawyers for Luigi Mangione were in court today trying to get some evidence excluded from his trial. Mangione is accused in the fatal shooting of the CEO of a health insurance company. Lawyers say police continued to question Mangione during his arrest after he said he didn't want to talk, and claim they continued to make him talk for another 20 minutes before informing him of his right to remain silent. His lawyers say those statements should be inadmissible. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal murder charges. Netflix has agreed with Warner Brothers Discovery to buy the Hollywood giant studio and streaming business in a deal valued at nearly $83 billion US when you include debt. The merger brings two of the industry's biggest players in film and TV under one roof. Beyond its namesake, television and film division, Warner owns HBO Max and DC Studios. Hollywood insiders say this deal is shaking the industry to its core. and the sheer amount of influence the combined company will wield could doom movie theaters.
This is not a good move for theatrical exhibitors, and I imagine that, you know, the antitrust regulations, a lot of people are going to be fighting this, although it seems like it's essentially a done deal. You know, exhibition has already been under fire quite a bit recently, but I mean, imagine this year, pretty much many of the biggest money makers of the year, including Sinners, Superman, One Battle After Another, Weapons, those are all Warner Brothers movies. F1. You know, I just don't understand how movie theaters who are already kind of stuck for content are gonna be able to withstand this.
According to Variety, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos says the company has no opposition to movies in theaters, but suggested titles may also come to streaming sooner. 4 countries say they will boycott next year's Eurovision music contest because of Israel. Organizers declined to expel Israel over its war against Hamas in Gaza. As a result, Spain, the Netherlands, Ireland, and Slovenia say they will not take part in the 2026 contest in Vienna in May. Iceland says it may follow suit. Architect Frank Gehry has died. He was the most celebrated architect of his generation and won every major prize architecture has to offer. His iconic buildings can be found around the world, among them the Art Gallery of Ontario, Spain's Museum, and the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles. He was born in Canada and died this morning at his home in Santa Monica, California. He was 96 years old.
A sleigh full of stuffies, the Barbie car of my dreams, trains, and so much more is here right now at Toy Mountain as Salvation Army is collecting donations. We'll talk more about why and how you can help, still to come after the break.
And the cold temperatures this weekend should certainly entice you to join us at Toy Mountain tomorrow. It'll be cold tomorrow, cold again on Sunday. Minus 16 degrees and sunny. We'll have sunshine all throughout the weekend. And then the next round of snow moves through Winnipeg on Monday. A high of minus 8, so some moderating temperatures with that low pressure system. Minus 10 on Tuesday. There's the possibility of snow showers. A lesser chance of snow showers on Wednesday. Minus 15, minus 16 degrees by Thursday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
We want to make sure every child in Manitoba has a gift to open this holiday season, but it can't be done without your help. Toy Mountain has returned to Polo Park Mall, which is where CTV's Taylor Brock is standing by live tonight. Taylor, I know there's a lot of toys coming to build that mountain, and you know, it's so important this year because those gifts are going to make such a big difference for kids in our community over the holidays.
Absolutely. I mean, Christmas is a very special time for everyone, but especially kids, which is why Salvation Army does Toy Mountain every year. And we were talking a little bit about just how many kids you think you'll be helping this year. Can you talk about how many kids you think are coming and how many toys you'll actually need?
Absolutely. So we're looking at around 7,000 kids, maybe a little bit more. I mean, each family that we have registered already has between 1 and sometimes as many as 6 kids. So to be able to provide from that for parents and caregivers, I can't imagine the stress that they must be feeling if they're feeling like they can't do that. So if they're faced with an impossible choices like choosing groceries or gifts, we're here to help alleviate some of that pressure. And we're just so grateful for all the donations that have arrived so far.
And you were explaining to me earlier, they kind of do choose the gift. They kind of do go Christmas shopping. How does that work?
Well, who knows the kids better than the folks that look after them, right? So what we do is we set up a toy store experience. All the toys that you see behind us donated, they are sorted into age groups so that the parents and caregivers can choose not only an age-appropriate gift, but a gift that they know that their kid will really love. If they're really in a hockey phase or if they want the new hockey Barbie, hopefully there'll be one of those there for them to choose from.
I know there is one. I saw it a second ago. I was eyeing it too. I like Barbies, but a lot of kids like Barbies. We're seeing that pile growing. What kind of toys are you specifically looking for? I know that you mentioned there's a couple of age groups where there's a bit of a need right now.
Absolutely. So one of the things we do if we have cash donated is we use that cash to buy toys where there are age groups seeing shortfalls. So people often forget that babies need something to open as well. You know, you think of kids like tearing through gift wrap, but those are, you know, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Older kids can also be a little bit difficult to buy for because a lot of them just want video games or these expensive things. But things like sports equipment is really great for those older kids as well. And we also really like to enforce anything that brings the family together, board games, puzzles, and the like.
Well, there's still lots of time tonight as well as tomorrow to come specifically here to Polo Park on the 2nd floor overlooking Centre Court, or there are plenty more locations where you can drop off your donations or cash, whether it's IKEA, fire stations, lots of locations. That's up on our website and Salvation Armies.
All right, Taylor, I hope you're flooded with toys over the next little bit. Thanks a lot. The eyes of the sports world were fixed on Washington, D.C. this afternoon as the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw took place at the Kennedy Center. The star-studded affair featured actors and models, along with singers and athletes from all walks of life, including Wayne Gretzky, U.S. President Donald Trump, Prime Minister Mark Carney, and Mexico's president. But the big questions fans are asking is who Canada will play in this summer's tournament and who will play in Canada. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth reports.
48 teams, 12 groups of 4. Switzerland and Qatar will battle Canada in Group B. The 4th team in Canada's group will be determined based on the winner of an upcoming pre-World Cup playoff.
Between Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
As a host country, Canada automatically qualified for the World Cup and are ranked 27th in the world. With the complexion of their group competition taking shape, Canada now looks ahead to the World Cup, hoping to win a tournament game for the first time ever, and it won't be easy.
Well, obviously they got the toughest pot 4 team. We know that. We don't know who it's going to be, but thinking it being a European team, and it could be Italy themselves, it makes it an extremely difficult game. But what an exciting match we're going to get in Toronto.
I think the highlight is absolutely Qatar.
Canada will play its first home match June 12th in Toronto before shifting to Vancouver for matches on June 18th and 24th. FIFA will unveil its full match schedule on Saturday, announcing all the games being played in Canada. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Washington.
The Olympic medals are taking shape in Italy as it gears up to host the Winter Games in February.
I will produce 1,100 medals, which will be based mainly on 700 for the Olympic Games and 400 for the Paralympic Games.
Machines are running all day to create the gold, silver, and bronze medals at the Italian State Mint. Each gold medal will be made of more than $800 worth of gold.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back with your weekend Skywatch forecast, and it's a cold one.
Yeah, we've had 3 Clipper systems move through the province over the last few days, and we're going to see more in the next few. But intermittently, we're going to see blasts of Arctic air, and we're already, well, more to the point, we're going to feel it, including tonight. It's already cooling off as the sky is clearing out across much of southern Manitoba. Back up here and show you the south. This is what I'm talking about. Clear tonight over Brandon. We are in the process of clearing out here in Winnipeg. Next door in northwestern Ontario, there's still some light snow and drifting snow reporting around Kenora, some snow falling in Dryden. You can see it's very light there on the radar, but it too will end fairly early this evening. And up back in the north, there's some light snow falling right now in the Thompson area. But overall, the sky is going to clear. An Arctic ridge of high pressure is in the process of slumping southward in behind that weak Clipper system as it pushes well off. So when we get overnight, we're going to see temperatures drop into the -20s all across Manitoba and in northwestern Ontario. Maybe you're watching this snow if you're in the southwest part of the province. It is just going to slide right on by Manitoba. We will be under the influence of that ridge of high pressure, so it will keep that snow and really any kind of cloud cover at bay. Throughout the day tomorrow, bright and sunny, and it will be cold. I will show you just how much in just a moment when we get to the provincial forecast. But overnight, we go into Sunday. We stay clear, which means we'll have a sunny Sunday, but it will also be another cold one as well before this comes in. Some moderation in the temperature with the next low pressure system system that will bring snow to southern Manitoba on Monday. No snow tonight for the city, down to minus 22 degrees, a few clouds. These northwest winds, a little strong and gusting, they will subside really by mid-evening onward. Relatively light winds overnight. Minus 21 for your Saturday morning with those light northwest winds on the way to a high of just minus 16 degrees. The upside, though, with that high pressure is that the sun will be shining. Up in the north tonight, flurries both tonight and tomorrow expected around Churchill, down to minus 22 there. But Churchill, watch out for blowing snow as well. In some pretty strong gusty winds tomorrow, up to 70 kilometers an hour. Island Lake tonight, some on again, off again snow. Tomorrow, Thompson, Gillam up to minus 21 under a mix of sun and cloud in both communities. In the northwest tonight, clear through Flin Flon down into the Paw. Overnight lows in the mid-20s right around the region. And then tomorrow, a minus 18 for Norway House and Norway House Cree Nation. Sun or a mix of sun and cloud around the region. The rest of the northwest stays in the minus 20s tomorrow. In the southwest tonight, partly cloudy, mid-20s. Your overnight lows. Brandon down to minus 24. Dauphin minus 26 degrees. Sunny in Dauphin and Swan River tomorrow, up to minus 18. Brandon, Neepawa, a mix of sun and cloud, minus 17 there. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight. We'll see clearing for Winnipeg to the north through Gimli, down south into Steinbach. Now, Barons River, watch out for snow squalls both tonight and tomorrow. We drop to minus 22 here in the city tonight. Minus 16 is our high tomorrow. Similar temperatures around the region. And once that snow stops tonight over northwestern Ontario, partly cloudy, minus 21, minus 22. Bright and sunny around the region tomorrow with highs around minus 13, minus 15 degrees. Both our weather photos feature beautiful Cree Nations in northern Manitoba, including the Pimicikamak Cree Nation. That photo is from Molly, gorgeous shot there. And this next one's lovely too, the Aurora Borealis at Tatasquiac Cree Nation. That one is from Dolores. The first one was from Molly. This one is from Dolores. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. It's a merry and bright holiday tradition for countless Manitoba families, be it at shopping malls or community centers, with smiles, sometimes tears. The annual Picture with Santa Claus is a holiday ritual with staying power. More than 150 years worth, to be exact, thanks in large part to the late great Canadian department stores.
These are an interesting form of commerce that starts to develop in the 1850s. Bigger and bigger general merchandise stores. And stores before that point had found Santa Claus to be the perfect kind of avatar for encouraging people to buy.
Well, the big guy in red appeared at stores in Britain and the United States in the late 1800s. The department store Santa really took flight in Canada thanks to Eaton's Santa Claus Parade. Winnipeg hosted its first in 1905 as Santa traveled from the train station en route to the downtown Eaton's department store, where he spent the holiday season greeting Manitoba kids with wish lists in hand. Decades later, so many of those department stores have shuttered, but the retail Santa tradition endures.
Lately, there's been an effort to make the scene more welcoming. There are special Santas and special kind of quiet places for neurodivergent kids. And there are department store Santas and photographers who will go out to houses of kids who are housebound over Christmas. So that's kind of a nice development.
Our CTV digital team is diving into the fascinating history of the department store Santa. From Eaton's to the mall, we learn all about the tradition's evolution through the decades. Plus, Manitobans share their cherished, funny, and sometimes touching childhood memories of when Santa Claus came to town. That story will be coming to our website tomorrow. You can check it out at ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Still to come tonight, a major recall for a certain brand of glucose monitor. Medical Watch is next.
It's time to light things up for the holidays, and we want to see all your hard work. All those nutcrackers, lights, and trees can help you win a $500 gift card from Red River Co-op and have the chance to show off your holiday house live on Your Morning Winnipeg with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to our contest page at ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Fill out the form and submit your photos. Good luck.
RSV is a common respiratory virus. Almost all of us get it at least once in our lifetime, usually as an infant or a toddler, but adults can get it too. And for those adults with underlying health conditions, it can be quite serious. Joining me now to talk more about your risk and how to best protect yourself against it is Winnipeg pharmacist Britt Curl. Britt, so good to speak with you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
You know, when I hear about RSV, I immediately think about the risk to babies, not necessarily adults. And I'm not alone, based on a recent survey showing many adults don't think they're at risk at all.
That's very true. And while there is a very strong risk for infants and young children, we're learning more and more that there is a very significant risk for older adults as well, which we're really just starting to learn about over the last few years.
So what can you tell us about the risk RSV poses for adults?
Well, for older adults, especially adults over 75, there is a vaccine that's available that is recommended to help reduce the risk of RSV. And RSV is a viral infection that is similar to the influenza or flu virus in many ways. It circulates in the same time frame, so usually this time of the year, fall through early spring, and it can cause very similar types of symptoms with runny nose, cough, sneezing, wheezing, fever as kind of the mild symptoms, but can cause more serious types of symptoms for older adults or individuals who are living with more chronic type of health conditions such as breathing problems, diabetes, or immune system problems.
Let's talk about those more serious symptoms. When do you know you might need to seek out help when it comes to an RSV infection?
That's a great question. So people who are infected with RSV and have mild infection, it usually does resolve on its own, usually within 1 to 2 weeks. But those individuals who are older or have some of those chronic health conditions, if the symptoms are not resolving within that time frame, or if they become very difficult for breathing problems, certainly seeking out medical attention is the best avenue to go down. And it can put people in situations where they do need to be hospitalized. And unfortunately, quite often that could include intensive care types of hospitalization situations.
All right, we know we're in sort of peak flu season right now. Everyone I know is pretty sick. How can we best protect ourselves against RSV, particularly older adults?
That's a great question as well. So a lot of very common sense precautions that we take with any type of viral infection this time of the year, staying home when you're not feeling well, if you're coughing or sneezing around other people, making sure that you're covering those coughs and sneezes. But the other really important thing to remember is that prevention is really important. And now that we do have a vaccine available to help prevent against this virus, speaking to your pharmacist or other healthcare professional about whether or not the RSV vaccine would be good for you is a great idea, because it really is one of the best tools that we have to help reduce the risk of this virus.
Well, Britt, I want to thank you so much for the tips tonight. It was great speaking with you.
My pleasure. Nice to speak with you as well.
An urgent glucose monitor recall to tell you about tonight. Health Canada is recalling some Freestyle Libra 3 Plus sensors, which may provide incorrect glucose readings. The affected models and serial numbers are up on your screen. The advisory warns incorrect readings may lead people to falsely believe their glucose levels are low and as a result consume too many carbohydrates or skip insulin doses. The company behind the devices says the products may potentially be linked to 7 deaths and more than 700 injuries worldwide. A major Ontario children's hospital is sounding the alarm over an ongoing surge in flu infections and hospitalizations. The warning came from CHEO in Ottawa. The hospital says it's seen a significant increase in the number of children coming to the emergency department since the start of cold and flu season in November. The number of kids testing positive for influenza was 8 times the figure seen the year before, and it resulted in twice as many hospitalizations for the virus. CHEO says most children seeking care were not vaccinated against the flu. It's advising people of all ages to get the flu shot to help reduce the risk of serious illness. A mysterious vomiting disorder associated with chronic cannabis use has been formally recognized by global health officials. The World Health Organization has added cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS, to its diagnostic manual. The condition affects long-term and daily marijuana users with stomach issues such as severe nausea and vomiting, and in rare cases, seizures, kidney failure, even death. With the formal recognition, doctors can now identify, track, and study it to get a better idea of how to treat the condition. The only known way to cure the syndrome is to stop smoking cannabis.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The commercials you won't want to fast forward through. The Cannes International Festival of Creativity is returning to Winnipeg this month. Those details coming up next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Toque, All-Star Canadian Classic Rock.
Well, you might remember her from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or more recently from some of her HBO comedy specials, but now you can see her in person.
I had my daughter when I was 44, and I am, yes, I know. It's impressive. I am 38 now, and
Canadian actress and comedian Caroline Ray is scheduled to take the stage at Rumors Comedy Club this spring. She will be appearing March 20th and 21st. Tickets go on sale today on Rumors website. Well, here are some of the commercials you won't want to skip through. The Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity returns to Winnipeg this month.
I actually think he's just here for the access to Uber One for students.
My name is Brian. My interests are food and saving money on food.
That's just one of the winners from last year's festival, which features the best of the best ads from right around the world. Categories typically include most entertaining, inspirational, and humorous. The festival kicks off December 19th at the WEG Haumayork and runs until mid-March. You can find tickets by heading to the WEG's website or at its front desk. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra is going to teach you how to train your dragon. Train Your Dragon in Concert kicks off tomorrow with 3 shows over the weekend. The show features the DreamWorks film on the big screen, accompanied by a live-to-picture orchestral performance.
I think something about live music really gives a sense of 4D to the experience. You know, you can feel the music, you can feel the energy.
How to Train Your Dragon was a box office hit following a young Viking who breaks tradition and befriends a dragon. Limited tickets for the performance at Centennial Concert Hall are available on the WSO's website.
CTV Primetime Lineup is brought to you.
Has arrived, all in one man's basement. The elaborate Christmas village in support of a good cause, next.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Well, high temperature today for Winnipeg was -9. The record set back on this day in 1939 when we reached 8.9 degrees with a plus sign in front. Tonight dropping all the way down to -22. Definitely a minus sign there. A few clouds, -16 Saturday and Sunday in the sunshine. Moderating Monday with some snow coming through.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, the holiday season is here, and a miniature Christmas village in River Park South is buzzing with a flurry of festive happenings. CTV photojournalist Glenn Pismeni took a tour of the bustling town and learned a little more about this labor of love.
It takes me about 60 hours to set up, so I got to plan ahead. Once you start building, then you get into it. But it's that first 10, 15 hours of just unpacking and sorting and organizing. About 30 years ago, she had a little village of about 8 to 10 houses, and then we would put that in front of the fireplace, and she took care of that for, I guess 10, 15 years or so, and then I started getting involved. We kept some of the first few pieces, one of which is the candle maker's house, which is, you can tell it's a much smaller house down at the foot of the mountain. The village census is around 450 people, 80 boys, 80 girls, 21 snowmen, 63 buildings, 450 trees roughly. The city council tried to get approval to get a bigger village, and it was kibosh. So this is as big as it will get. I tell stories as people come in. I tell them stories of what's going on. It became a passion. Every fall, I start thinking, I got to get ready for the village. I'm already thinking of what I'm going to do for next year.
And you're in for a real treat because he is opening his doors this weekend so others can see the Christmas Village come to life. And he's raising money for the Children's Hospital Foundation. You can find out more details on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. I was just saying to Colleen, I'm so impressed because I can't even get my Christmas tree decorated over the past couple weeks. That's impressive. That's a lot of work. Yeah. All right, have a great weekend. See you back here Monday.